This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The DRC Learning Net will start in 5 minutes. This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
Hello and welcome. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron. That is Delta Oscar Romeo Oscar November. I am net control for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net tonight. This is a directed net for the purpose of connecting amateurs seeking help or advice with Elmers willing to mentor. This net meets every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month at 1930 hours, 7:30 p.m. Mountain, on W0TX repeaters 145.490, linked with 448.625. Both have a negative offset and a tone of 100. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? For recognition by net control, please use your call sign. Everyone is welcome. This is an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help and Elmers giving their time to mentor. If you have any questions for the Learning Net and don't yet have your license or otherwise wish to contact us, you may do so via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com or hamlearningnet@groups.io. You can also visit us on youtube.com/WEREGR8, where we are live streaming this net, past nets, and past meetings. So if you missed it, you can go back and view what I was sharing and what topics were brought up. This is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in with or without traffic. All Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha 0 Juliet Kilo, AA 0 JK. Good evening with traffic.
Okay, and that time we had AA0JK Fred with traffic. Thank you for checking in. Anyone else who'd like to check in as an Elmer, please do so now. All right. All other check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That will be the letter after the number in your call sign, so the first letter after the number in your call sign. Please, if you can, try to use ITU phonetics as you check in and indicate if you have traffic or questions for Elmers as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilo 0 Lima Alpha India K0 LEI, Larry and Lakewood, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Alpha Foxtrot Quebec, Troy and Denver, no traffic. Kilo Foxtrot 0 Charlie Uniform Charlie, Andrew Highlands Ranch, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Delta Golf Echo, Andrew, Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Echo 0 Whiskey Bravo Bravo, John in Lakewood, no traffic.
Alpha Fox 0 Echo, Alex Brownswood.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Alpha Whiskey Charlie Brian Wheat Ridge, no traffic.
Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo Rich in Arvada, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. All right, Net Control would like to welcome to knowledge of the following check-ins. K0KPS Kevin, K0LAI Larry, KF0AFQ Troy, KF0CUC Andrew, KF0DGE Andrew, KE0WBB John, AF0E Alex, KF0AWC Brian, WD6 DOK Rich, and then online we had KF0AEY Patrick. Thank you all for checking in. One more call. If your call suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, if you don't have your call sign or you want to check in online, you can do that at any time if you'd like. YouTube.com/WEREGR8. Feel free to check in on there if you'd like. I'll go ahead and open up the whole alphabet. If your suffix begins with the letters A through Z, Alpha through Zulu, please check in now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic.
Kilo Delta 0 Yankee Mike Golf Jed in Littleton with a request.
November 0 Tango Romeo Papa Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
W0TX Repeater.
Kilo Echo 0 Sierra Uniform Mike.
Charles in
John,
Denver.
Lakewood.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. Net Control acknowledges and welcomes the following check-ins. KE0NRE, Jim with traffic. KD0YMG, Jed with a request. N0TRP, Jim. KE0SUM, Jonathan. WD0CIV, Charles. And W0FFC, Jerry, we had checked in online. All right, another call. This is K1DBC Net Control. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net just for the count, or if you have any traffic questions, we're taking all call suffixes Alpha through Zulu. Please check in with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic questions for the net. Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. There'll be quite a few more opportunities officially to check in. You're more than welcome to check in at any given point. Any break in the conversation, feel free to check in and pass any traffic, or just for the count, please feel free to do so. Or again, check in online. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to the top of the list here. AA0JK Fred with traffic, go ahead.
AA0JK, good evening, everyone. Just have been noticing that on the ARRL webpage and a few other areas there on the internet where things are starting to take into consideration and ramp up for a field day this year. I know it seems probably a little bit early, but I noticed that some groups are planning some tailgate parties, get together, and what have you. I went over and I took a look at Chief Hose's situation. Does not look very promising for us again due to the limitations. They are allowing camping, but due to the restrictions, it doesn't look like it's going to be workable for what we need for a field day. I hope that changes. Still time for them to open things up a bit. But in the event that they don't, I would like to get some feedback from those of you out there that may hear of any activities as they arise over the next few months as to any of the other clubs or groups that are planning on having some sort of field day activity. And hopefully that this year we will not have a big goose egg zero for a field day event. So any feedback any of you might have out there, please let us know. And I believe that that Daron is going to be the coordinator again this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daron. Hopefully we will have some kind of activity this year. Back to net control, AA0JK.
All right, AA0JK, this is K1DBC. Yeah. I was hoping it wouldn't be brought up this soon, but that's okay though. Yeah, the chief host says probably not going to be available for us this year in the way that we use it. They're pretty. We're kind of an exception even normally. They really don't know who we are or what we're doing there even normally, and so I think we need to build up a little bit more better relationship with them. But especially now this year, yeah, it's probably not going to be a thing. They're limiting campsites to a maximum of 6 people, don't inviting visitors, which is a huge thing. Gatherings more of 6 people will be asked to leave, may result loss of camping privileges. So this is from the denvergov.org site in regards to Chief Hosa. Last year I tried to do something a little bit more virtually, but didn't really take off too well. But I think I'm gaining a little bit more traction here within the club on YouTube now, so I think we might do something virtually, potentially through Google Meets and YouTube, different social platforms, and then potentially there was a ham fest for AB4's OZ. Where they did a socially distanced kind of a ham fest at least. So, depending on if we can find a big enough spot where we can have enough space. I mean, a big parking lot. I mean, who knows? So yeah, I mean, it's if anybody, again, like last year, if anybody has any suggestions for field day this year, other than kind of virtual, let me know. And even virtually, they've extended the rule waivers from 2020 to add Class D and E power limits, and aggregate club scores will be published if you do go online and designate the W0TX club. So yeah, it's June 26th, 27th. Still a few months out, but it comes up quick. So I'd like to see more this year. So hopefully I will do a bit more this year than I did last year. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Fred, AA0JK. I'll throw it out to anyone else on the topic of field day, or suggestions, or anything else you'd like to see come of that. Please call now.
CUC comments?
Yeah, and depending on what that comment is, I think I may need to explain what it is for some of the new people, but CUC, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that basically was going to be what I was looking for. Just a little bit of information on what field days have looked like for Denver Radio Club in the past. Apologies if that's already been covered and I missed it. Back to net, K0CUC, clear.
Gotcha. Yeah, nope, not covered on this net specifically, or this evening's net. So field day is the ARRL's national day, where annually across the U.S. and Canada on the fourth weekend of June, more than 35,000 radio amateurs gather with their clubs to simply operate in remote locations. Essentially, you're kind of just trying to prove yourself off commercial power, and it kind of looks like a few different things. In 2019, we went up to Chief Hosted Campground and just allowed everyone to come up and camp up there. And just for 24 hours, or we would be operating on different ham bands with radio or with battery power or solar power. And it's just like anything else. It's kind of just a contest and points system, but it's really just for socializing and getting together. And it's just kind of a good way to come together. So it's really just to prove to ourselves and our served agencies that we're able to operate without, again, commercial power, or we can operate in the field if we need to under emergency situations. Essentially, it's kind of just a simulation.
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead with the comment.
Yeah, it also is an opportunity to invite the public and the media and expose them to amateur radio and the benefits and the services that we provide to the communities. So there's a lot more to it, and we definitely want to be able to reach out and let everybody know exactly what amateur radio is. So back to net control.
Perfect. Thanks there, Fred. Yeah. And to anyone else as well, if you go to arrl.org/field-day, they have all of the information really compiled well. They have just an objective here to contact as many stations as possible, 160 through 10 meters, all the HF bands as well as 50 megahertz and above. Learn to operate in abnormal situations and less than optimal conditions. Open to all amateurs. So it's, a lot more information on the ARL website, all their rules and things like that. And we've tried to invite in the past our served agencies. So we have Lakewood, City of Lakewood, City of Wheat Ridge, some of their police departments we've tried to invite and get them out there and see what we're doing. So yeah, it's just a overall really good, really fun time. So on the arl.org website, if you Google ham radio field day, or if you look up on YouTube field day, you can kind of see what it is. It's just kind of people getting together and just having some fun. All right, this is K1DBC. Yeah, great question there, CUC. Yeah, in the past, it's we've been able to, and we've also worked with the Salvation Army, so we've been able to rent out some of their, loan out some of their vehicles and drive them up there, and so it's just been a lot of fun, just a whole lot of fun. But yeah, again, this year it's probably going to be a little bit more socially distanced. Hopefully, we can come together in some capacity and operate together. Otherwise, we may just need to kind of operate remotely and maybe come together virtually. So, yeah, June 26th, 27th, we have plenty of time to think about it. So if you have any thoughts about that, let me know. It was on here at some point, but if you go to the W0TX.org and then the officers page under the field day chairman, I think my name had been on there at some point, but it's in the newsletter potentially. But yeah, email me, my call sign K1DBC at arrl.net if you have any suggestions, or let us know here or anywhere else. All right, good subject there, good topic. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that a bit more as it comes up, and yeah, let us know. So on that, I'll throw it out once more. Does anyone else have any other comments, questions in regards to upcoming field day or past field day or anything else? Please call now. All right, sounds good. And yeah, this club and all of our activities are as we want them to be, as we shape them. So anything we want there to be, it's just up to us to make it be. So however we want it to look, we can do that. So just more hands better. So always let us know on that. Okay. So with that, I'll throw it over to KE0NRE Jim with traffic. The net is yours. Go ahead.
KE0NRE here. Thank you for taking the net tonight, Daron. I had a question about radials in connection with vertical antennas. I know most hams will lay down radials around their vertical antenna and usually burying those radials a few inches under the surface. But I've also read about hams that will just throw wires out there in the yard, as many as they can accommodate. And it struck me that putting the wires out there above ground, just laying them on the ground, might present either a shock hazard or a potential for RF burns. And I wondered if anybody had any experience or more knowledge about that. I'm thinking about doing something like that just to experiment with a vertical, but I want to be sure before I tear up the yard that I'm not going to be doing something that's unsafe if I just lay them on the surface. So I'll put it back to net for anybody's comments or insights. KE0NRE, back to net.
JK.
All right, great question there, NRE. With vertical radials, can you leave them on the surface or do you need to bury them? AA0JK Fred, go ahead.
AA0JK, yeah, Jim, you shouldn't experience any problems there. There's not enough there to cause any problems electrically, or as far as like you're concerned about shock hazard. Carry on with your experimentation and keep us posted as how it all works out. But you shouldn't have any problems. And also, those verticals I have in the past run the counterpoise wires on the roof of my house. I mounted my vertical on the chimney and then ran wires of appropriate length on the roof of the house, and it worked out fantastic. So don't be too concerned about having to plant those wires in the ground. Just what you're looking for is the other half of the antenna, what we commonly called counterpoise, and that's the other half of your antenna that is needed. And as long as you've got radials out there that are resonant for the frequencies that you plan to use, you will be just fine. AA0TK, back to net control.
All right, A0JK, this is K1DBC. Thanks for the follow-up there. Again, reading online, it sounds like you're safe to just leave them on the surface there, and you can possibly use some staples, lawn staples, to get them below, so you can be safe in mowing. But not too much of a difference in performance from buried and unburied. But NRE, Jim, KE0NRE, if you have any other follow-up on that, go ahead.
NRE here. Yeah, if you put those counterpoises or radials on the roof, they're out of the way. You don't get too many animals or humans walking up there to encounter them. But if I put them on the lawn, I'm worried that either pets or young children may just find it tempting to touch that shiny object in the grass and see what it's all about sometime when I've got the transmitter running. And I just wanted to be sure that it was going to be safe and I'm not creating unnecessary risks in my backyard. But I appreciate the advice, Fred. Thanks very much. KE0NRE, back to net.
W0TX repeater.
All right, yeah, thank you there, Fred. A0JK. All right, perfect, KE0NRE. All right, yeah, we're learning more about vertical radials and placements of them, so excellent. Anyone else on that topic while we're there of radials and burying in the ground, leaving them on the surface, or on a roof mounted? Please call now. Okay, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll go ahead and throw it over to Jed then, KD0YMG. Go ahead.
Well, good evening, Jerome, and everyone on the net. Good to talk to some folks I haven't talked to for a while. What I got going on is I'm actually trying to help out Newham, who is having trouble with her radio, and so of course that means she can't get on the net to ask questions about it because it's the only one she has, and she has a Yaesu FT4X, and I do not have that radio, nor do I know very much about it, and I will do the best I can to help her get on the air and so forth, but it would be nice if there were somebody who has one of those radios that could be available to help out, assuming she hasn't got it figured out yet. Haven't heard from her in a couple of days. So really I'm just looking for if anybody has a Yaesu FT4X who would be willing to help out. This particular Newham lives over by the, I don't know what they're calling it now, Stapleton neighborhoods area, kind of east of Quebec, north of MLK Boulevard. So if anybody has that radio and is willing to lend a hand, my email address is in the DRC roster, or you can look me up on QRZ. And that's really it for me. So back to that, KD0YMG.
All right, KD0YMG, perfect. Yeah, I was just trying to look up some information here. I know that Dave, one of our board members, had put out in some information that he's WG0N. He has a Yaesu FT70D, and he's helping. He'd be more than happy to help people out, along with a bunch of other radios, with programming them. So that he might be a resource she can reach out to. Potentially, and again, his information is on the W0TX officers or the roster, WG0NARL.net, as well as his phone number. That might be something to look into. So yeah, otherwise we will reach out to you, YMG, or if you have the call sign of the person needing help, or any contact info from them, they're willing to give out. We can take that as well.
Okay, well, I don't know how comfortable she is in sharing her information, and I don't have that email in front of me just right at the moment. I probably can get it fairly quickly. KF0 Echo Hotel Quebec. And I'm trying to get her to join clubs and reach out to the various local people for help. And she might have already done that, so I'm just waiting to hear back from her right now. But I will get a hold of Dave, that's Whiskey Golf 0 November, and see if he has any thoughts on the matter, and hopefully we'll get a new ham on the air. So thank you much. KD0YMG.
All right, yeah, not a problem. And yeah, no problem with contact info. That's fine. Yeah, I understand privacy, not a problem. There was AA0JK and another comment in there. AA0JK, though, go ahead.
AA0JK, hey, Jed. Good to hear you in there on the air. Hopefully someday we'll be able to have an eyeball QSO again if we ever get over this pandemic situation. But back to the topic at hand. RT Systems comes highly recommended. Get the software with the appropriate cable, and then all you need to do is just plug that into your computer, and you can load up everything onto your handheld radio or whatever that little Yaesu radio, with all the appropriate frequencies here up and down the Front Range, or whatever area that she wishes to use it in. But it's the simplest and most effective way. Don't try to do individual frequencies. That gets to be too complicated for her, especially being new to the hobby. Make it as easy as possible, and if somebody out there happens to have the same radio that she has and the appropriate software, they might be able to help her out. But for future use with her radio, it would be nice for her to have on hand the RT Systems software appropriate for her little Yaesu radio. AA0JK, back to net control.
All right, yeah, thank you, A0JK Fred. Yeah, if anybody does have the FT4X, Yaesu FT4XR, it looks like, and any programming availability, and repeater listing, it sounds like there might be some a request for that. But yeah, hopefully it should be just programming in the repeaters. On our groups.io, we have carried over from our Yahoo group a check or a all-colorado-csv. It's a CSV of some of the repeaters around here, and it should be able to hopefully be able to help there. I I can try to provide a more updated list as well. But yeah, programming them radios, analog radios. It takes a little bit of a work. Yeah, you got to kind of get in there a little bit. But once you kind of do it once or twice, it's not too bad. So, all right, yeah. And then there was another comment in there. I didn't get your name or your call sign. Go ahead.
It was CUC. I just wanted to comment as a fairly new ham who hasn't been doing this for more than a few months. I actually was recommended to get the RT system software when I purchased the radio. And I couldn't be pleased with it. It took me another couple months to get to the point where I could program the radio manually, even with the s.t.e.m, which I think is easier. But if you can fill out an Excel sheet via RT system software, it works amazing. The cable that came with it works perfect. So I was very terrific. So anyway, back to net, K0TX.
W0TX.
All right, so you see there's a bit of noise on there, but I did get that you were kind of promoting as a new ham as well the RT systems that Fred was speaking about there, as it makes it easy to program. I don't know if there was a question in there, but appreciate the follow-up. If there is anything else on that, go ahead.
No additional K0CUC clear, back to net.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. Your audio was sounding much better that time, so I don't know what changed there, but you're sounding a lot better. All right. Great questions there. Yeah. RT Systems, as Fred has mentioned, and KF0CUC is also suggested there as a new ham. Good software to use to makes your programming your radios easy, and because it covers multiple radios too, that's a real big benefit too. So, and then again, if you get more comfortable, there's a free product called Chirp. And so if you search for Chirp, CHIRP, it's provided by danplanet.com. It's another good software to use. Covers a lot of other radios, analog. So yeah, great questions there, YMG Jed. And yeah, if they feel comfortable, feel free to have them jump into the YouTube if they want. Otherwise, yeah, hopefully we'll hear them on the net soon. So again, anyone else on the topic of radio programming, Yaesu, or anything else on that subject, go ahead.
One more comment on that.
Yeah, no problem. CC, go ahead.
Something I learned is their support was excellent. I had a question, had an email back same day. And there was actually a repeater book import function, which I believe Chirp also has. You can literally set, I guess, the miles and import all the repeaters you care about. I ended up typing mine in, but I really found that was useful for, if I'd known that on day one, I would have just imported every repeater within 100 miles. Anyway, back to net, CUC, clear.
All right, this is K1DBC. Yeah, good input there. Yeah, the functionality of inputting from repeater book. I had tried that initially, at least I've only really used Chirp, and it's never given me. I'll have to go and try to use it again. Maybe I really wasn't understanding what I was looking at. But again, yeah, I've similar to you. I've kind of just manually gotten a list together and kind of just honed that in by hand. But I'll have to give RT Systems a try at some point. Yeah, and good functionality there. If you don't know what to do, you could just import from repeater book, put in a zip code and a radius, and you should be kind of off and running there.
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
KF0DGE. If you are familiar with YouTube and comfortable with YouTube, Ham Radio 2.0 has a good video on actually programming radios, specifically one of the Bofang with Chirp. That also talks about that feature, and I find that pretty useful. Back to net.
All right. Yeah, perfect. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's plenty of information online. A lot of more ham radio YouTubers becoming popular nowadays. So yeah, there's a lot more YouTube content content that is more up to date, that shows you really what to do with some of the software. So I'd give that a look too, because I guess in past years probably there's not been a lot of people covering some of this stuff, but now in the last 5 or so years we're getting a lot more coverage on this kind of stuff. So yeah, good shout out on that. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I'm not sure if I've done this just yet, but I'll go ahead and take formal check-in. So let me drop just for a moment here. If you've just tuned in, this is Daron, K1DBC, Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. I'm Net Control for the Learning Net. It's an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help and Elmers giving their time to help us. Everyone is welcome to join in. If there's anyone who wishes to check in at this time, please do so with your call sign. If you can, try to use ITU Fanatics, state your name, and if you have any traffic or questions for the net, please call now. All right, another call. This is K1DBC Net Control. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, if you have any traffic or questions or just for the count, please call now. All right. Keep in mind, you're more than happy to check in at any time. Don't have to wait for those moments. But excuse me with that. I don't see anybody else indicated they have any traffic or questions. But I'll throw it out to the net. If there's any other traffic, any comments, questions, or check-ins for the Learning Net, please call now. Again, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Please feel free to let us know if you have any other comments, questions, or check-ins for the Learning Net. Otherwise, I can pass a few stories over the last week or so, but please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I guess I can pass a few things here and then bring it back to the net. And we have about 15, 20 minutes or so left in the net, so don't hesitate to jump in at any given time. All right, over on hackaday.com, great blog to read. If you have any interest in electronics, engineering of all sorts, electrical, mechanical, all of the engineering sciences and disciplines. Article here titled The Digital Radio Era Partially Ends in Ireland. So this is from March 7th, and it goes into how the DAB, the digital audio broadcast, is being faded away just because there's not enough usage of it within Ireland. So they're going back to just analog. So it's kind of interesting. Reason cited is cost effectiveness. The take-up of DAB in the Republic by listeners is low. Northern Ireland having the UK multiplexes instead, and that the broadcaster is the only one maintaining a national multiplex. Our Irish friends tell us that in other parts of the world, the rural coverage can be patchy, and with only RTE, which is the Radio Telefes Arian, Dublin-based television, and no commercial stations on offer, so it's easy to see why the allure of DAB set is lacking. Great story here about changing of technologies from digital back to analog.
W0TX repeater.
I am slowly upgrading my equipment here. So I have at this point a condenser microphone, an Audio Technica AT2020 cardioid condenser microphone that I'm speaking into, at least for my computer. I'm hoping to be able to interface that with my radio. So this is an XLR microphone. I have found this thing called an iBox by W0TX, and it potentially should be able to convert XLR into the pin outputs, the pin inputs that are needed for my radio. So this is something I have been looking into. I don't know if anybody has any experience with this iBox W0TX or connecting an XLR microphone input into a Yaesu FT857 radio. Let me know.
YMG.
Yeah, YMG, go ahead.
Can you give me the model number on that microphone again, please?
Yes, of course. Audio Technica Alpha Tango 2020.
Okay, thanks for that. The main thing that comes to mind when you say XLR is that a lot of the XLR microphones are balanced, and that's not 100%. I have a Shure microphone that is XLR and it's not balanced, and typically what happens with those is you'll get a cable that is pretty simple. It just ties two of the pins together, and you get essentially a 2-pin versus a 3-pin, and that works for dynamic microphones. If this is a condenser microphone, you probably will need to have power going to the microphone. The condensers, what that actually is it's like a capacitor in a magnetic field or an electrical field, and the vibrations of your voice change the capacitance and thus affect the magnetic field, and that's how you get the signal. If they're what's called an electret, if I remember right, there's it's a permanently charged. I guess it's still a capacitor, but often they have a little transistor doing amplification, and that also is powered. So those are some things I would look at. I'm not having luck here with my web browser getting the kind of specs I'm trying to find here. But if it mentions things like needing phantom power, you may need to think about that. The other thing that comes to mind as a potential problem, but probably will not be, is impedance matching. Most of these are low impedance microphones, which is what your radio will want. I don't very often see high impedance microphones. Let me reset a sec. Like I said, my web browser is not being kind to me as far as hard specifications on that, but I haven't tried to look up that box that you've got, but essentially those are the things you need to worry about: phantom power and balanced versus unbalanced. A lot of times the conversion from balanced to unbalanced is just tying pins together from 3-pin to 2-pin. But if it's already unbalanced, and well, the other thing they do is they'll have phantom power coming in along with signal, and they use a capacitor to filter that out of the audio too. I know I've got some good information bookmarked on that kind of stuff, but it would take me a while to find it because I have thousands of bookmarks and they're terribly unorganized. But hopefully those points will give you some ideas of what to keep in mind. KD0YMG.
Excellent, YMG. This is K1DBC. I appreciate all that. Yeah, it is. It does require phantom power, 48 volts, and to interface it with my computer, I'm using this Behringer UMC22, which has a USB interface to my computer, and then just XLR to the mic. I know there's these more generic XLR or these phantom power supply adapters too. But yeah, looking into a 3-pin to that 2-pin conversion, and the Electret, I had heard of that as well. So I'll have to dig up a little bit more, and yeah, feel free to share the information as you find it. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. The other thing is if you've already got a mixing board, possibly a line out from that would be something you could work with. I don't know what levels most radios are working with as far as line level versus mic level. You might need to attenuate there, but that might be a quick way to get to it as well. KD0YMG, back to net.
Perfect. Yeah, it's not so much of a mixer as just kind of an audio interface, but it does have audio out, just an analog audio out. So that is something I potentially can look into as well. So yeah, and I don't know about the line levels as well. I'll have to check that as well. So perfect. I appreciate all that. All right, this is K1DBC. I'll throw it back out to the net. Does anyone else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for the net? Please call now.
JK.
Yeah, A0JK. Fred, go ahead.
AA0JK. Yeah, I just got a notice that Amazon Smile has donated $93 to the club's financial fund. A big thank you goes out to everyone out there who uses Amazon Smile. If you shop on Amazon, switch it over, if you haven't already, to Amazon Smile, and they will make a donation, a simple automatic donation to support our choice of charitable organizations, which would be the W0TX. Make a donation each time that you shop with no cost to you. So a big thank you to those out there from the Denver Radio Club that are using Amazon Smile. Every little bit helps in supporting the club and keeping these repeaters up and running. AA0JK, back to net control.
W0.
All right, yeah, that sounds good there. Yeah, I haven't, as long as we've spoken about that, I haven't really connected that either on my Amazon account. So yeah, smile.amazon.com. If you do get started and then do a search for Denver Radio Club, you should be able to search it there on the top and then select it and go through the process there. Very, very cool. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I can bring up a few more things before we wrap things up here, but I'll reach out back to the net. Anyone else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else you'd like to bring up for the net at the moment? Please call now.
TRP?
Yeah, N0TRP, go ahead.
Yep, N0TRP. I just had a quick question on this audio mixer idea. Do these audio mixers, do they make them so that I could bring in, say, 4 or 5 different inputs to it with different impedances? Like I'm thinking an output from a desktop computer, output from a laptop, output from radio, and an output from an HT. Or I'm not quite sure if those audio mixers figure out different impedances and different line levels, or if they are that flexible. That's my question. Thanks.
All right, this is a great question there, TRP Jim. You know, I don't know specifically. I've really kind of just started to get into this. So if anybody knows, though, if any mixers, modern mixers, if they can automatically deal with line level and impedances, or how that's dealt with, anybody has any follow-up on that, go ahead.
YMG.
Yeah, YMG, go ahead.
Well, when you get into the world of professional audio, and this is kind of a continuum because with podcasting and things, it's now kind of like consumer to professional grade. There's maybe kind of a continuum there, and they have things that are targeted toward the advanced consumer, I guess. But in general, for features like microphones, you will have balanced, unbalanced, high impedance, and low impedance. Most of your professional voice mics and instrument mics are going to be low impedance, and they are going to have balanced outputs, and they will use a 3-pin XLR connector. And then the issue of whether you need or don't need phantom power is something that you'll find usually switched on the mixer, and you have to know what you're doing there. I won't say this is going to always be the case, but you generally don't want to run phantom power into your dynamic microphone because it's not designed to handle having 9 to 48 volts as an input, since the dynamic microphone is an output device. But within the range of typical studio gear, most mixers are going to handle the standard stuff, as I mentioned, the dynamic versus cardioid or electric, or not cardioid, condenser, dynamic versus condenser mics, and high impedance and low impedance. The high impedance inputs are generally instrument inputs. You don't find very many high impedance microphones. Let me reset. Additionally, and I don't know anything about this, but there is also now a USB audio thing, and it's not like USB audio on your computer. It's a whole specification that you'll see, and some mixers now will have that as well, but I can't comment on that too much. As far as outputs, you will usually find what they call monitor, which is headphone level, and you will find a line out. You might find multiple line outs, and the issue with line out is it's a higher level output, but it's not speaker level output. And the gotcha here is that consumer line out is a lower level than commercial line out. and I don't have a good answer for figuring that one out. I went down this rabbit hole once, and all the specifications are in dB, and trying to figure out voltages from that, I was not successful. So, for typical home use, podcasting, or just mixing a few things together, the Behringers, the lower end, are probably going to be pretty good. Your computer is probably going to has a line out. Using a speaker out, you may have some level issues to deal with there. But probably you can deal with that with a trim pot, but I won't swear to it. So I would say stick with line out as far as audio from your computer. Other than that, do a lot of reading, and hopefully that's helpful. KD0YMG, back to net.
N0TRP here. Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it. N0TRP, back to net.
All right, sounds good there, TRP and YNG. Yeah, thanks for the info. Yeah, and just at the consumer level, there's a bunch of options and a lot of different things, and yeah, there's a lot of research you need to do. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. So there's a lot to do with audio technology and how it works, and some of the not negative, some of the compromises that have to make with some of the consumer equipment and versus a professional, et cetera, et cetera. This is really spec driven, and you really kind of just have to understand what you're doing, because you can purchase something wrong, and but yeah, there's a lot of info on online. So yeah, good info there. Good topic. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We'll probably start to wrap things up here in a few minutes, but I'll throw it back out to the net. Does anyone else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for the net? Please call now. Okay, this is K1DBC. I'll throw out a few things here and then throw it back out to the net, and we'll probably wrap things up here. So, upcoming virtual Hamfest this weekend, QSO today, hamexpo.com. You can still buy early bird tickets. They're about, I think, $10 or so. Tons of talks, tons of speakers. Let me bring you the list up here. While I'm bringing that up, more info on this QSO today, hamexpo.com. It's beginning this weekend. Starts at March 12th at 1800 Pacific Daylight Time for 48 hours. And then you can have on demand to the talks, speeches, etc. until April 12th. There is going to be a lot of presentations here. Looks like around 80, 89, around 90 or so topics to include. Let me drop here for a moment. Yeah, so we have Workbench podcasts, live streams, software-defined radio. We're talking about amateur space radio, ARIS, AMSAT. Speaking about Battle of Arnhem, 1944. Pipeline type array radio propagation using Arduino. There's going to be the 100 watts and wire live stream podcast from there. Solar Cycle 25 predictions, ionosphere talks. I mean, just the list goes on. So lots of cool info. The keynote is going to be by the ARRL newly appointed president. So really cool. Again, QSO today, hamexpo.com. Check it out.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, Jerome, by any chance purchase any of the soldering kits for the for this event?
I didn't. I really had only signed up just within the last few days, and I didn't realize how they were going to do that. So unfortunately, I didn't purchase one ahead of time.
Okay, I was just wondering, do you know how that's going to work? I mean, I suppose they'll have somebody, are they going to grade the kits and anything like that, the solder joints, that sort of thing? This is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo.
You know, I don't know. Unfortunately, just looking at their talks here, the only one that I see that involves a kit building is the Crick key. It's by Joe Eisenberg K0NEB. I don't know if that's the same one, but hopefully they'll have. So were you able to purchase a kit? Let me ask you that.
No, I have not. I thought about it, but I didn't do it, and now I guess there's not sufficient time to get it to you.
I found a little bit more info here on their website under the build-a-thons, but there was a comment there. Go ahead.
KF0AFQ. I think they're building about 5 kits. They're not graded, but they're in a live build. So while you probably cannot get, you certainly cannot get the kit in time for the live build, all of the courses, including the kit builds, will be saved for 30 days, and with your ticket you can access it for 30 days. So if you wanted to, kind of build along with the group, record it later, I believe you could do that. Back to net control.
Perfect. Thanks there, TRP. Yeah, over on QSO Today Hem Expo, there's a link on the top for build-a-thons, and yeah, as TRP was mentioning there, they have a few kits that you can purchase, and yeah, it probably won't be there in time for the actual live event, but after the fact, you'll have 30 days to kind of check up on their all their videos and their documentations. So yeah, good question there.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. One more quick question. Does anybody know what the impedance on the speakers are for an HP monitor?
Comment?
Good question there about the impedance. Comment, go ahead.
I'm not going to pretend to know about impedance, but I will just throw a thought out there that without knowing the specific model of the speakers and model of the monitor, it's possible with a vendor as large as HP that they use different components from different manufacturers, and you could have differences across different lines of HP monitors and speakers. So might need specific models for folks to really take a look. Back to net.
All right, there, CUC. Thanks for the follow-up there. TRP, any other follow-up on that? Go ahead.
I honestly couldn't understand what he was saying, but it's a monitor. It's W0TX, if that means anything to anybody. But they have worked with the computer, but I was trying to drive them with a small amp, and they don't seem to want to work. There's just not enough drive there. Back to net.
All right, yeah, not too sure on that. With some consumer electronics like that, you might have to do some digging, or it should just kind of be hopefully fairly standardized consumer standards. I'm not too sure though. Yeah, I couldn't really speak to that, but yeah, not too sure.
Yeah, okay. I know it was a hard question to answer anyway. So, all right. Thank you very much, and let you finish wrapping it up. This is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. Back to net.
All right, yeah, no problem. All right, yeah, this is K1DBC Net Control. I don't really have too much more. I'll throw it out for one final call. This will be the final call. Any other comments, questions, or check-ins for the net, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, more info on this net specifically over on groups.io/G/ham Learning Net. We post materials on our past net topics and check-ins. Again, we also are recording this on youtube.com/WEREGR8. Live streams the night of, and then you can watch it after the fact. This net, our Sunday night nets, and our monthly meetings going back for a few months now. So if you missed anything, feel free to check that out.
Is the Sunday night net on YouTube now?
It is, yep.
Thank you.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I will probably start to wrap things up here. Let me drop for a moment. Sorry, more info on our club, W0TX.org, Denver Radio Club. We have an upcoming meeting. This 17th, March 17th, so next Wednesday. It's going to be a presentation of RF noise presented by Steve, WD8DAS. Ham radio operators, shortwave listeners, broadcast extras, and other enthusiasts are usually quite aware of the growing RF noise issues. An increasing number of listeners reporting deteriorating reception, but they usually don't know why. Steve Johnston, WD8DAS, will discuss RF radio noise. He was a broadcast engineer for 30 years and now consults in Madison, Wisconsin. When he was with radio station WPR, he found that over 5 years, the audience services logs showed a 40% increase in complaints related to noise reception and reception issues. He'll discuss the following: why search for radio noise, FM field noise test and results, techniques for noise sources, and many examples of noise sources. So prepare your questions. It'll be a pretty good topic and presentation.
W0TX repeater.
This does take place all online. Feel free to check it out, W0TX.org, meet.google link. We have an Elmers session prior to that at 6 p.m. until 7 p.m. It's very similar to this, just a general Q&A, so come hang out there as well. We had a total of 18 check-ins. Ever-growing list. I appreciate everyone checking in online, over the air. This net's going great, so hopefully if you want to see any changes, anything, any suggestions, let us know. With that, though, please join us. So next week will be our meeting, W0TX.org for more info on that. And with that, I'll go ahead and put the repeaters back into normal mode.
PL on.
All right, this is K1DBC. Again, thank everyone for joining in on the net. Hopefully you all are taking care of yourselves. Hopefully this brings you some happiness and joy in your life, this hobby and this net. Feel free to join us at every Wednesday. So this is K1DBC, Daron. Everyone take care. 7-3, I am clear. All right, everyone on YouTube, thanks for joining in here. If you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to see, let me know. But with that, I'll probably start to wrap things up here. I really do hope to have a video coming up of the solder kit that I was working on recently, the voltmeter soldering kit. So that should be coming out soon. And And I'll hopefully have a video from our 2019 field day coming out soon, though, too, as well. So, all right, everyone take care.